Hey there, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of True North Sports Talk Podcast, your go-to for straight talk Canadian sports coverage. As always, Peter Barclay here, and we are recording for Wednesday. Let's see, it'll be June May. So June the 3rd is when we are recording this for. And so a lot has gone on since last week. We're going to be looking at what we are looking for coming up in the Stanley Cup Finals. We have previews for Carolina versus Vegas in the finals. Then we're going to jump over to the NBA, who is also in their finals. And we are going to talk the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. Now, for me personally, and for both of these finals, even though you might say, oh, Vegas, Carolina, that's boring. Or New York, San Antonio, that's boring. You know what? For me, that's exciting. And the reason it's exciting for me, at least, is because it's not just the usual suspects. When Cleveland got put out, I was like, thank goodness. There's a certain player on that team I'm done with. I have been for years. And then with the way the whistle slided towards the Oklahoma City Thunder all season, and if your feed is in any way sports related, you would have seen all the egregious officiating towards that went in favor of Oklahoma City. So I was just like, I just don't want to see that in the finals. I love seeing a young man like Wembanyama, who's playing the game more or less the right way, get a chance. San Antonio has been a model franchise for the better part of 20 years. They have rebuilt after the Tim Duncan era and did it the right way. So I'm really enthused about seeing the Spurs in the finals again. The Knicks, they have had... I don't like their ownership if it's still Dolan. I don't like Dolan. But the way this Knicks organization has built this team into what it is, I'm happy to see them back. I have a friend who's a huge fan of this team. And so they're not a usual suspect coming out of the East. But I like that. Even if the Pistons had have come out of the East, that's not a usual suspect the last 5 to 10 years either. So I like the fact that some of the lesser teams are starting to be on the upswing. And I've always felt that way. Even when the Raptors were winning all the time, it's like, okay, yes, as a fan, I'm glad they're there. But if it's a team that you don't expect to get there and they get there, I love those stories. So that's what we're going to talk about, at least for the majority of the podcast today. And then we're going to talk about some Blue Jays things that are going on right now in the bottom of the 8th. They've actually made a bit of a comeback. It was 9-0 at one point. Last inning, so top of the 8th, they actually got it up to 9-5. So we'll see how they finish out this game. It was an early game because it's being shown on Peacock and they wanted it at 12:15. So that's why the game was early today for anyone who tuned in late. It was a bullpen day. Spencer Miles, for the first time since he's come or been with the big league team, it has not gone well. I mean, all season he's been dynamite until today. If this is just a blip on his radar, then he's still looking pretty good. Because everyone, even guys like Doc, have that oops every now and again. So, yeah, we're going to talk that, and we're going to talk about what happened with Jeff Hoffman. I'm going to save the rant for later, but needless to say, I'm not real happy about him. He's been better lately, but they used him in the wrong spot last night, and that is on Schneider as much as it is on Hoffman. So, we got a lot going on this episode. We are going to hopefully have some, what you guys will consider detailed analysis. And we are going to preview the Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals, talk about all that stuff with the Blue Jays. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's dive right into it, starting with the NHL's Stanley Cup Final preview. As mentioned, we have both teams decided for that final. That is the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, when this is airing, let's see, they said it's either Tuesday or Thursday, so let me just fact check and double check here, because there's, or was, they've set their schedule. Is it still here? Let's see. Yes, Stanley Cup Final schedule. It's finalized. So let's see. Game 1, Tuesday. Game 2 is Thursday. Game 3 is Saturday. Then they take a break for Sunday and Monday. And then Game 4 is Tuesday, June 9th. Game 5 is June 11th on the Thursday. Then Game 6 would be Sunday, June 14th. And Game 7, so the very end possible, the last possible day, will be June 17th. Now, anything past Game 4 on Tuesday, June 9th, is an if necessary, because if one of the teams sweeps the other, it'll end on June 9th. If it goes 7, then we go to June 17th. So that's what the actual schedule is for this series. So by the time this airs, Game 1 will be in the books. We'll know who won it. At the time of recording, it hasn't happened yet. And so yeah, Carolina lost Game 1 of the East Final and then dominated the Canadiens the rest of the way through. And they have a staggering 12-1 playoff record. They swept Ottawa, they swept Philly, took care of business against Montreal again 4-1. And so yeah, they have elite defense. We know their goaltending solid, because when he played in Toronto, he was solid there too. Not that he was great, but he was solid. And they just have this depth about them that Rod Brind'Amour loves to have on his team. You guys out there are looking to find out what the Hurricanes Stanley Cup chances are, probably for betting purposes. Y'all are looking for that. And you have a Canes versus Knights matchup, and this team, it looks like a winning machine. This is their first final in 20 years, since 2006. The last time they were in the finals, they won that final. Vegas swept Colorado 4-0 in the West. In that conference final, that was very, very, very shocking to me, at least. As for the first 3 rounds, Colorado looked untouchable. They really did. And then they met Vegas. I know that hurts for some Leaf fans. I know they'll be upset if Mitch wins, but this will be a compelling Stanley Cup Final. There's a lot of storylines here. There's a lot of things to look at. And so Vegas swept Colorado. There are players from that team that won the Cup a few years ago still there. They have speed. They have goaltending. They have playoff pedigree. They brought in John Tortorella, who has won in the playoffs in many different locations. He hasn't won it all necessarily, but he did win in Tampa Bay when he was there. And so they have experience on all aspects of the game. Blue Jays game has just ended. It is a 9-5 final there. And so we know that. They split the series there. It was a 4-gamer. 2 wins, 2 losses. Although it should have been 3-1 based on that. But we'll talk about that later on when it is time to talk about Jeff Hoffman. So, some of the stories that we're looking at here, questions that arise, is will Carolina's defense be able to neutralize the speed of the Vegas forwards? I don't know if you've ever seen Mitch Marner play in real life, like actually been in the arena, but my goodness, he's fast. So when they talk about Vegas's speed, that's one of the guys that you really need to pay attention to. He brings it in that way every single time. Then you have the goaltending battle. Do you have Anderson taking that, or the Vegas goalies standing on their head and stealing the series? So the question will be, who comes out on top? Now, is there a fatigue factor for these teams? No. They both went through a relatively quick Eastern and Western Conference Finals. I mean, Carolina's road to the Stanley Cup is blessed with rest, being as they almost swept their way there, which is unheard of. People out there who are making predictions, you know how much I love those. But I would say, and I would think this is a 6 or a 7 game series. And I mean, you look at Carolina, I don't pick winners here, but you gotta like what they've been doing. You gotta like how Vegas picked it up late in the season and made this run to the finals. So you tell me, what do you guys think? Jump into the chat. Let us know here at True North Sports Talk what you guys think, who you think's going to win. You think Vegas is going to steamroll, or do you think Carolina is going to remain virtually unbeaten? So this final kind of has Canada talking for a couple of reasons, especially after Carolina ended Montreal's run. They were a bit of a Cinderella story that wasn't expected to get that far. They're talking about it because, especially here in southwestern Ontario, that whole Mitch Marner storyline has a lot of people cheering against the Knights. So we shall see how this series turns out. Sit back, enjoy, and again, jump in those comments and let us know what you guys think. Switching gears now, we are going to look at the NBA Finals preview. And that puts the New York Knicks, as we mentioned earlier, against the San Antonio Spurs. That one is starting on Wednesday as well, June 3rd. The day we're airing this, actually, so it should be tonight. Later on, it'll be on ABC this year. The Knicks swept Cleveland after a strong run to get through the East. This is their first finals since 1999. And if memory serves correct, they also faced the San Antonio Spurs in that series. That would have been Tim Duncan's first, maybe second NBA title. That was a lockout shortened season. Vince Carter's first year in the NBA, for all you Toronto fans who might remember that. And it's a completely different cast of characters. You have Jalen Brunson. He's been the phenomenal force for the New York Knicks. They have a balanced, defensively tough squad. Obviously, Raptors fans know that the mentor for OG Anunoby, who now plays for the Knicks, was one Kawhi Leonard. He was a 3-and-D coming out of college anyway. And you put that with Karl Anthony Towns down the middle, and you got a pretty tough defensive team. They are on a huge winning streak throughout the playoffs. Their physicality and star play is huge. And that's what people are looking for. They're looking at the odds for the Knicks in the finals. Obviously, there's a lot of bettors out there, especially in the New York area. They're talking about wanting to see Brunson have a championship. But on the other side of the court is going to be a tough out. That's the San Antonio Spurs that took down the defending NBA champions in the Oklahoma City Thunder. It was a 7-game series. You had Victor Wembanyama, his two-way dominance, because he's a force on both sides. He's hitting threes from the dot almost, or at least the center circle. And then he'll block your shot left, right, and center on the other end. So that earned him the finals MVP in the Western Conference Finals. San Antonio's a young team. They're deep. They're explosive on both ends. And you almost have a David versus Goliath or a youth versus old in the tooth kind of matchup here. So fans are searching. Y'all are looking for Spurs versus Knicks, looking for finals previews, which is why we're doing this one here. Hopefully we'll come up in that search. Wembanyama's finals. And then you have 2026 NBA champion predictions. Again, you know I hate predictions. In this particular series, I don't really have a horse either way. I just want to see basketball officiated the right way. Not trying to tip the series the way you always see them do. I want to see a good officiated series, a fundamentally sound series from the players, and then let's go 7. Why not? These teams are not boring. These are young. In the case of the Spurs, you got the experience of the Knicks, and let's just have some fun with it. So this could be a high-scoring physical series. Wembanyama does not shy away from physical contact. Let's see it go 6-7 games and let us know. Who do you guys got in the finals? Do you have an MVP pick for the finals? Is it New York? Is it San Antonio? Are we going to see Jalen Brunson win a finals MVP? Is Wembanyama going to be the story that we're looking at? Or is there something we're not expecting that you could see coming? Let us know. Jump into the comments. And just enjoy some great basketball over the next week and a half. All right, switching gears yet again. Let's talk baseball. The Blue Jays, they continue to battle significant injuries. Obviously, we'll mention Jose Berríos out for the season, Tommy John. That happened on May 20th. You have Cody Ponce out for the season, ACL surgery. You have Bowden Francis out for the season, Tommy John surgery. You have Santander. You might see him in September. Let's pray they don't, because this team has been way better without him than they are with him. Then you have Addison Barger, elbow inflammation from that hose he threw to the home plate after coming back from his ankle injury. He is progressing. It seems like he will be back to a rehab assignment very shortly. And they are thinking early on in June. So the next week, maybe 2, he should be back. Then you have Alejandro Kirk, thumb surgery recovery. He's expected mid-June. I really hope the Blue Jays cut ties with Tyler Heineman at that point. That's another rant we can do in a little bit. The only saving grace Heineman really has is he's got gas in his arm from behind the plate. He's smart about where he throws the ball to. He's generally pretty accurate. But that's his only saving grace. Other than that, this team can really do without him. Now that Valenzuela's come up and made his presence known, provided that continues, I think they should go with Kirky and Valenzuela. Valenzuela is a switch hitter off the bench, same way Heineman is. And he has a pretty dang good arm too. And it just makes a whole lot more sense to me. So then you have Max Scherzer, his forearm tendonitis, ankle issues. He threw a bullpen this week to live BP. And so we are hoping again, similar timeline to Kirky, by mid-June, we're hoping to get him back. We need these guys back in a big, big way. Shane Bieber is also progressing nicely. He's looking at a rehab assignment soon, if he's not already on it. And let's hope for mid-June there too, because again, this starting rotation has 2 bullpen days a week right now, and that's just too many. As we saw today with Spencer Miles, it just can't hold up much longer. Question on a lot of people's mind is, doodly-doodly-doo, I saw a graphic with a poll on it about whether Tarek Skubal gets traded this year. 77% said yes. So I don't know. Are the Blue Jays in the mix on that? Do they have the pieces to pull it off? With all these pitchers they've been bringing in lately? Who knows? Depends on what Detroit's really looking for, right? You have Joe Mantiply went on the injured list with a knee issue. Dylan Cease had a hamstring issue, which has caused that other hole in the rotation. And just this Blue Jays depth has really been tested, because that's a lot of what we talked about before the season even began. They've been through over 10 injured list stints this year. Not like other teams haven't had their issues too, so we can't just make an excuse out of it. We're just letting you know where the players are at in their returns. And that's a big thing that fans of this team are looking to find out what the heck is going on here, because it's just, there's so many to keep track of. I probably missed some going through all of this, even as someone who researched it for this episode. People are looking at the timeline for Jose Berríos. There are some of us who expect he has possibly played his last game as a Blue Jay, depending on contract things at the end of the year. You have people looking at Barger Kirk return dates, because we need those bats in the lineup. But this injury bug, it's really tested a roster that we thought was going to be right up there for this AL East contention again, and it just has not worked out. All right. So we're getting there. We're going to talk a little bit about the rotation and then the Jeff Hoffman rant. So this is a big one. There's a lot of problems in the Blue Jays rotation. With Berríos done for the year, Cease and Scherzer banged up, Bieber's still banged up. You have Ponce done for the year, you got Francis done for the year. The rotation has understandably been inconsistent. So people are looking for it. What are the Blue Jays going to do to fix this? What should Ross Atkins be doing? Should he be waiting things out? I mean, yeah, we got Trey Savage back. And he pitched okay so far. People are looking at the fifth starter problem. I mean, I know there are some in-house solutions on their way back. At least two in the form of Scherzer and Bieber. But what do? So you kind of lean on Gausman. You lean on Savage. I mean, you don't think Cease will be out that long. Hopefully his body responds in terms of his hamstring. You have Hayden Younger. You have Connor Seabold. Obviously they've been using Spencer Miles. But that's like bullpen games, opener strategies, try to bridge the innings, piece things together. Are there moves they could be making right now? Again, there's whispers of a Tarek Skubal being available. Do you go after someone like that? What do you do if you're the Blue Jays? Because if you could lock up Skubal, and you already got Cease locked up, if you could persuade Gausman to come back, somehow figure out Berríos, you got Savage, you got Ponce coming back next year. Hopefully Francis will be in the mix. And oh my goodness, this could be for a long period of time, a really strong pitch team. There aren't a lot of internal options right now until some of those injured guys come back. They traded Eric Lauer, which was a good move. Get him out of here. He was seeming like a bit of a cancer. Ponce again is down for the year, so that's not really an internal. And then you look at Tanner Andrews and company that have cycled through. They DFA'd Voth the other day because that was just a bit of a disaster. And you're just scrambling in terms of fans because you're like, what do we do? You don't want to panic move. You don't want to trade away some part of the future for something that doesn't really work. So, yeah, this back end of the rotation, it needs stabilization. That'll stabilize the bullpen. That'll bring the bullpen back into some more structured roles. Guys will know when they pitch, how often they pitch. And it'll just make the whole thing a lot more stable. And that brings me to Hoffman. On one of my shorts this week, after the blown save, as fans, as pundits, as people watching this team, again, this is as much on Snyder as it is on Hoffman. But what was he doing in there in the ninth inning? Like, really? No, seriously. Why was he in there? And why did he see more than 3 batters? Someone show this part of the video to Ross Atkins. Please. Show it to John Snyder. People will say I am not an expert, but I know enough not to put Jeff Hoffman out there that day. Question is, why don't they? The so-called experts. He has been better lately since he's not the closer, but he hasn't been great. I don't care what the numbers say. Right here. Believe it or not, I know what I'm looking at. And since that home run in the World Series last year, Jeff Hoffman does not look like the guy who closed all those games last year. Even at times last year, I questioned Jeff Hoffman because if you put him in more than 2 days in a row, which they did several times, day 3 and 4 were awful. So this was not a reliable closer, even last year. This cannot continue. This is becoming Brandon Little 2.0. This guy needs to be either sent to AAA, DFA'd, or traded. Not that you can get anything for him, which is why on my short I said, get us a bag of balls. It'll be better than running him out there the way we have. Nothing personal against Jeff Hoffman, but the results that he has delivered are not acceptable on this team. Louis Varland has done really well in his place, and we need to continue with that as long as we can. There's no nice way to say this, but we can't keep this on our team and expect to get back to Game 7 of the World Series. Period. Full stop. It can't continue. There's no way. Even the fans, the rest of the fans, they're looking. Jeff Hoffman demoted is a search. Blue Jays closer options. Obviously we like Varland. Hoffman fixed 2026. Tells you all you need to know. For now, never, ever, ever pitch him beyond the 7th inning. Never. Which means he should have never been out there in the 9th inning the other day. He's okay in lower leverage situations. Allow his confidence to be there. Long term, trade him. He doesn't work on this team any farther. I know he's a great kid, but that can't be what keeps him around. We need results on this team. As a fan base, as an organization, his performance cannot be accepted any longer. So, I'm going to throw it out to you, the audience. Jump into the comments. Let us know. What moves would you make to shore up this pitching staff? Would you trade any of the injured pitchers for more durable options? What would you do with Jeff Hoffman? Let us know. Hit us up in the comments. Have your say. For me, you know where I stand. I'd be calling up anybody. Hey Detroit, give us a bag of balls. We'll give you this pitcher. You know what I mean? Oakland A's. Or Sacramento, I guess they have on their jerseys now. Give us a bag of balls, we'll give you this guy. That's what I would do. Alright, y'all. On that note, that's the episode for this week on True North Sports Talk. Thank you for joining us. Glad you stuck around this long. Hit us up in the comments. Stay locked in for finals action coming up over the next week and a half or so in the NBA, the NHL. Hopefully we'll see some more guys return from injury. Keep on supporting those Blue Jays down at Skydome. Let us know your predictions. And please, guys, this is most important. Hit that subscribe button so that we can continue bringing you this content. And until next time, we will see you on the True North Sports Talk podcast. Go Canadian teams. See you then.